At MetLife Stadium, the stage is set for another classic AFC East showdown. Jets against Bills. And once again, the spotlight shines on a rivalry that never fails to bring unexpected drama. The odds makers may lean toward Buffalo, but history tells us that strange things always seem to happen when these two teams collide in New Jersey. Fans still remember that chaotic opener not too long ago when Aaron Rodgers went down early, Zach Wilson had to step in, and Josh Allen turned the ball over again and again as the Jets stole the win in stunning fashion. Moments like that live on in the memory because every time these franchises meet at MetLife, chaos feels just one snap away. The Jets enter this game in a very different phase of their rebuild. Justin Fields is now at the helm, and his debut last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers showed more life in the offense than many analysts predicted. That was a tough matchup against one of the league's most disruptive defenses, yet Fields looked comfortable, decisive, and energized by the opportunity to start fresh. His dual threat ability creates a new dynamic for the Jets, something that Buffalo's coaching staff is already paying close attention to after what Baltimore did to them a week ago. Against the Ravens, the Bills surrendered huge plays on the ground, giving up over 400 yards of offense in a game that turned into a track meet. And now they face another opponent with a mobile quarterback who thrives on zone reads, improvisation, and forcing defenses to defend every blade of grass. One subplot going into this matchup is the decision by New York to part ways with Xavier Gipson. Jets fans remember him as the unexpected hero of the 2023 opener when he took a punt back to the house and stunned Buffalo. But his tenure fizzled after that high point, and a costly fumble in Week 1 against Pittsburgh opened the door for change. It means a new return man will be handling duties on Sunday. Another layer of uncertainty in a game that already carries enough storylines. What really stole the show for the Jets last week, though, was the offensive line. All offseason, there were concerns about whether the group had the talent and cohesion to protect the quarterback and establish the run. Instead, they answered with a performance that exceeded expectations, holding Team J Wood in check and opening lanes for Breece Hall, who looked explosive and decisive. That was the version of Hall the Jets believed they had in 2022 before the knee injury. And against Pittsburgh, he ran like a player determined to earn a new contract. If Hall sustains that form, he gives Fields the perfect partner in a run-heavy attack that forces linebackers to hesitate and safeties to creep into the box. The rookie tackles also drew praise. Olu Fashanu, thrust into action late last year, looked like a seasoned pro against the Steelers, while Armand Mbammu impressed in his first career start. Even when the Jets provided help against Mbammu never surrendered to pressure, a remarkable feat considering the matchup. The line as a whole controlled the trenches, and that allowed the Jets to put up 32 points while punting just twice. That kind of output has been a rarity in recent Jets history, and it changes the perception of what this offense might be capable of if the line continues to progress. For Buffalo, the win over Baltimore was dramatic but also revealing. Josh Allen showcased why he is still one of the most unstoppable forces in football, racking up yards in the clutch and putting his team on his back. But defensively, the Bills were gashed in ways that raise real questions heading into Week 2. They allowed the Ravens to average more than 8 yards per play, gave up multiple explosive touchdowns, and looked lost on third downs. The defensive philosophy in Buffalo has always favored lighter, quicker linemen and versatile linebackers who can cover space. But that comes with a trade-off. Against downhill rushing teams or mobile quarterbacks, they can be vulnerable, and the Jets will absolutely test that weakness. The matchup everyone is circling is Breece Hall against linebackers Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. Last week, Baltimore punished those two with misdirection and zone read looks, forcing hesitation and creating cutback lanes. Fields brings that same stress. If Hall continues to hit holes as decisively as he did against Pittsburgh, the Bills' linebackers will be under pressure all afternoon. Contract year motivation seems to have sharpened Hall's game, and he admitted in camp that he needs to prove he deserves to be mentioned alongside stars like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. He started that campaign in style and now faces a defense still searching for answers. Of course, when you talk about the Jets, you cannot ignore Garrett Wilson. He has quietly stacked 3 straight seasons of 1,000 yards to begin his career, and even with quarterback changes and inconsistent passing attacks, he has remained productive. The Bills must decide how to handle him. Does Sauce Gardner shadow a top Buffalo receiver in return, or will Gardner's presence simply force Allen to target Brandon Stevens, the corner on the other side? That is the gamble Buffalo wants to take. With no true alpha wideout in their group, the Bills spread the ball around, meaning the Jets' weaker coverage options are going to be tested repeatedly. Stevens was picked on by Pittsburgh, surrendering touchdowns in big plays, and every Jets fan knows Allen will waste no time going after him. On the other side of the ball, Quinnen Williams looms as the Jets' game wrecker. Under new defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, his alignment has changed. Instead of being forced into predictable spots, Williams is now free to attack more one-on-one matchups at the 3 technique, reducing the number of automatic double teams he sees. The Jets traded for depth at nose tackle specifically to let Williams thrive. If he dominates Buffalo's interior offensive line, that is the path for New York to pull an upset. The Jets are the less talented roster, but in games like this, superstars must rise, and Williams is the one player capable of tilting the contest on his own. The chess match continues with how each team plans to dictate tempo. Buffalo will want to jump out early, force Fields into obvious passing downs, and turn the game into a shootout that Allen can control. New York, meanwhile, will try to slow things down, control the clock with the ground game, and keep Allen watching from the sideline. That tug-of-war is the essence of divisional football, especially early in the year when surprises can swing momentum. For Fields, the challenge is consistency. He has shown flashes of brilliance before, but what has eluded him is the ability to stack good games together. One strong outing followed by a letdown has been the story of his career in Chicago. Now he faces the task of proving he can build on momentum, and doing so against Buffalo's defense would be a statement. The Bills may try to load the box and dare him to win with his arm, an approach that could define how the game unfolds. If Fields delivers accurate throws while maintaining his threat as a runner, the Jets become dangerous. On Buffalo's side, the priority will be cleaning up run fits and eliminating the explosive plays they surrendered to Baltimore. The defensive line held up decently, but the linebackers and safeties were a step slow, over-pursuing or missing tackles. Fixing that is critical because New York will not abandon the run. In fact, Glenn's philosophy seems to embrace pounding the rock even more than Baltimore does at times. The Bills must prove they can stay disciplined, shed blocks, and prevent Fields and Hall from gashing them on early downs. And then there are the small details that often decide games. Last week, the Jets' defensive line rotations were sloppy, leaving backups on the field for key snaps and allowing Aaron Rodgers to exploit mismatches with quick tempo. That cannot happen against Allen, who thrives when defenses try to substitute, and he speeds up the pace. The Jets must be smarter about staggering breaks for their star defenders and making sure Williams or Johnson is always on the field when it matters most. All of these layers add up to a matchup dripping with intrigue. Buffalo brings the experience of a stable regime, a quarterback in his prime, and the expectation of competing for the top seed in the conference. New York is still in transition, led by a new coaching staff and a quarterback trying to prove himself. One side knows exactly who they are, the other is still discovering its identity. But that uncertainty can be an advantage. With little film on how Glenn's Jets truly want to operate, the element of surprise could tilt early possessions in their favor. As kickoff approaches, the narrative is set. Will Buffalo's experience, balance, and star quarterback impose their will? Or will New York's newfound energy, dominant offensive line play, and a hungry Breece Hall spring another MetLife surprise? This is the type of divisional clash where reputations are tested and seasons begin to take shape, and it is happening under the bright lights where chaos has never been far away. At the heart of this game lies a question that could define the season for both teams. Who dictates the style of play? The Jets want to create a grind, to drag Buffalo into a contest decided in the trenches where time of possession and physicality weigh heavier than explosive passing numbers. The Bills want exactly the opposite, aiming to light up the scoreboard and put the Jets in a position where Justin Fields has to throw far more than New York would prefer. That contrast sets up a fascinating test of willpower, and history tells us that whoever bends first usually collapses completely. Josh Allen is the fulcrum of Buffalo's plan. He can extend plays that appear dead, escape collapsing pockets, and launch deep balls that travel further than most quarterbacks dare attempt. When he is rolling, he makes average receivers look like stars because he spreads the ball around and keeps defenses off balance. The Jets know they cannot rely on one strategy to contain him. Coverage has to be tight, tackling has to be sound, and above all else, free gifts in the form of blown assignments cannot exist. Last week against Pittsburgh, the Jets handed out too many of those gifts, leaving receivers wide open. Rodgers capitalized, but he is no longer the athlete he once was. Allen is different. He punishes perfect coverage by improvising, and if you give him easy completions on top of that, you may as well start chasing from behind. One of the under-discussed angles of this matchup is how new the Jets' defense is under Aaron Glenn. Robert Saleh's system emphasized certain alignments and predictable tendencies, but Glenn has already shown he wants to disguise intentions and rotate personnel. That can pay off by confusing opponents, but can also backfire when players are still learning responsibilities. Against the Steelers, Michael Carter struggled in coverage, sometimes caught between showing blitz and dropping into his assignment, and that hesitation turned into chunk plays. Simplification may be the answer this week, because miscommunication against Allen is football suicide. On offense, Fields has to handle the psychological test of following up a strong debut. Too often in his career, he has delivered a standout performance only to falter the next week. His decision-making has to be crisp, his reads quick, and his trust in the offensive line absolute. If he holds the ball too long or hesitates to pull the trigger, Buffalo's defense will swarm. What makes this game particularly interesting is that Fields does not need to throw for 300 yards to be successful. He needs to make the handful of throws that matter: third downs, red zone chances, and quick strikes to Garrett Wilson when the Bills gamble. If he does that while maintaining his threat as a runner, New York's offense will keep moving. Breece Hall looms as the biggest factor in whether that happens. His decisiveness last week was the best of his career. No dancing behind the line, no wasted steps. Every cut was sharp, every lane was attacked with purpose, and the results spoke for themselves. That version of Hall, paired with Fields, creates a nightmare for linebackers who have to respect the quarterback keep, while also plugging gaps against the running back. Buffalo's linebacking core looked overmatched against Baltimore, taking poor angles and failing to shed blocks. If that repeats itself, Hall could post another big day, and the Jets could control the tempo the way they want. Still, the Bills are not coming in unaware. They know their vulnerability and spent the week drilling gap integrity and run fits. They may even commit to heavier personnel, something uncharacteristic for them, to stack the box and force Fields into uncomfortable passing situations. That chess match, how often Buffalo sells out to stop the run versus how willing Fields is to challenge them through the air, could swing the game entirely. If the Bills succeed in shutting down the ground game early, the Jets will be dragged into a type of contest they're not built to win. For the Jets, the defensive line rotation must be carefully managed. Last week they were caught with backups on the field during no-huddle stretches, and smart quarterbacks will always exploit that. Allen, like Rodgers before him, knows how to accelerate tempo to catch a defense substituting. If New York wants to survive, they cannot allow all their best pass rushers to be off the field simultaneously. Williams, Johnson, and McDonald must be staggered in such a way that at least one of them is always available to generate pressure. The Bills' offensive line is solid, but not impenetrable, and if Allen is given time, no secondary can hold up indefinitely. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The Buffalo Bills might just have struck gold. Whispers are spreading through NFL circles that TRE'VON DIGGS, the defensive dynamo known for his ball-hawking instincts, is not just making an impact. he's redefining it. Sources close to the team suggest that the cornerback's electrifying presence on the field is turning heads in Buffalo and beyond, with insiders already calling him the franchise's new star. Fans have long admired Diggs' uncanny ability to read quarterbacks like an open book, snatching interceptions seemingly out of thin air. But now, there's a sense that his influence goes far beyond flashy plays. Coaches are reportedly reshaping defensive schemes around his unique skill set, treating him as the centerpiece of a revitalized Bills secondary. It's the kind of buzz that spreads fast, and word is that teammates are already rallying around his energy, seeing in him a player capable of changing the trajectory of entire games. Rumors suggest that Diggs' emergence could also have a ripple effect on the roster, inspiring a new level of competitiveness and confidence across the squad. Local pundits are buzzing with speculation. Could this be the moment Buffalo's defense truly becomes elite, powered by the instincts and audacity of one cornerback? Some even whisper that opposing quarterbacks are already reconsidering their throws when Diggs is in coverage, a testament to the fearsome reputation he's rapidly building. While the season is still young, the chatter is impossible to ignore. TRE'VON Diggs isn't just performing. He's captivating a fan base hungry for excitement. And if the rumors hold true, he may well become the face of a new era in Buffalo. Bills fans, brace yourselves. There's a new star in town, and everything points to the fact that he's just getting started. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in next update.